Hello and welcome. Um, uh, we're here today to talk about coaching as a career. Before I introduce you to Sue, I would love to see where everyone's from. So if you can put that in the chat and we can cover that in a second. And I will introduce you to the lovely Sue Belton, who is um, she's joined with she's been a CTI alumni for a number of years. When Sue started as a coach, she knew she wanted to pursue this as a career. And having been an employee her whole life, she now had to significantly shift her focus into running a successful business. And with limited to little business experience, she had to learn super fast. So since then, Sue has been voted Best Female Entrepreneur, Best Coach. Her book, Change Your Life in 5, was nominated for Best Self-Help Book, and her podcast, Changemakers, has been downloaded in no less than 28 countries. And it doesn't stop there, because she's just recently published her own second book called Screw Meditation. Hi, Sue.
Hello, good evening, shall we say. I can see loads of people coming in from all over the world, and here it's evening, so good.
Wow, amazing to see you all coming in from all the different parts of the world. This is wonderful. And actually, I just wanted to check in with everyone if they could just put a little bit about where you are in your coaching journey, because that will really help Sue frame some of the questions as well. So just to design this with you all, we're going to have some fun today. So firstly, we're going to cover a few sort of standard questions. We'll start off there. But if you have questions, when you have questions, please put them in the Q&A, and I will pose those to Sue in time. But also there's a really exciting part to this, and I've seen Sue do this in action, and it's amazing. If you want to raise your hand and volunteer to be mentored and coached by Sue on your own coaching business, it's a 5-minute session. Please let us know and we will pick you out from the chat. So yeah, great opportunity there. So this is wonderful. We have, Sue, we have lots of CPCCs, people starting, right at the beginning of their journey, like they've just finished fundamentals, they're at fulfillment. It's wonderful. So we've got a really great mix of people here today. Oh, and we also have a couple of people who want to be mentored. So that's brilliant. Right, wonderful. So we'll get back to you guys. And we're going to put you on screen as well. So I'll let you know when that's going to happen. Well, so firstly, Sue, let's start by, looking at your journey. First off, the sort of what did you consider? What's the first thing anyone should consider when they're taking up coaching as a career?
Yeah, and it's interesting that's a title, because for me, what people need to consider is if you want a coaching practice, it kind of switches from being a career into being a business. You do have to make a mindset shift from being an employee, which I was for my whole professional life, into being an entrepreneur, and it's very, very different. So we all do this. I'm a coach because I love coaching and because how I wanted to help people and make a difference and transformation in the world. And in order to do that, you've got to have a business that supports you. So that's the big shift. That's the big thing that people need to consider. And all too many people don't consider it early enough. I think you can't do it any too early. The earlier you do it, the better.
Let's talk about business plans.
Yeah.
What do they look like? How far in the future do they go? What sort of contingencies do you need?
Yeah. I never did a business plan. But what I do now, because I mentor coaches to build their businesses, what I do is really, really important is to get a really clear, detailed, structured vision of what it is you're wanting to create in the world, the fabulous work you want to do, and then what that practically looks like on a daily, day in, day out basis. How many hours you want to be working, because everybody I work with, everybody I know is shifting from corporate job into running their own coaching business. Some people, you might be lucky enough to have a little buffer, to start, and you do make a straight jump, but most people are transitioning in that kind of way. So you really need to look at the financials, and you really need to get clear on who you want to work with, what is the transformation you want to create in the world, and then you need to do some brass tack numbers about how and what that looks like. And you need to do that long term, mid-term, medium term, and short term, all the way down, and have a 90-day goals and projects that you're working to. I still do that 16 years in. I'm still working to a 90-day plan.
Amazing. Okay. And let's talk about money. So it feels it feels like, because so many people come into coaching as a passion, because of a purpose, money can sometimes feel like the thing that we don't want to put a lot of emphasis on. This is for your career. You have to be financially stable. How does, how does charging work in your eyes, and how do you look at the sort of structure of how you charge as well?
Yeah, well, firstly, before you get to the details and the particles, the thing that I wish I'd been told is to deal with your money saboteurs early on. Because if you don't, that will mean you will not have a business. I think the ICF said, what is it, 50% of coaches are earning less than 1,000 a month. I can't live on that. I can't support my family on that. And 82% of businesses fail in the first year or so. So, it's really, really important. The purpose of a business is to make money. You've got to look at that. So deal with your money saboteurs early on. That's the big thing. That's the big thing.
Okay, so let's delve into that more. What's the pricing structure that you would suggest? I've heard you say before, this isn't something you would charge by the hour. If you look at the structure, what would it be? How many sessions?
Yeah, I would say, look, it depends who you're working with. So whether you're working in, primarily I work in corporates and I work with individual clients, and most of my mentees do too. So they're two very different structures. But what's really helpful for both of those is, if you're looking at individual clients, I would say do an absolute minimum of 3 months, preferably 4 months. By all means, work out your hourly rate in your head. But when you're proposing your pricing packages, and have more than one, you want to do tiered pricing, not just one pricing. So you offer them tier, like 3 different options at 3 different price levels, but at least a 3 or 4 month. And you make that into a package, and you tie it, when you're doing a sample session. I have a very structured way of doing sample sessions. You tie it to the results and the end benefits, rather than how many hours you're going to be like, oh yeah, let's do 6 sessions at whatever price per hour. You've got to come away from that. People come to coaching because they want a result. So anything they're going to pay to get a result. And you have to tie those two together. And then corporate is very different. And again, it depends whether you're doing one-on-one, group, team, whatever the programs, processes you're doing. But in your mind, have your hourly rate and have an Excel spreadsheet, work that out, then create packages. Again, at least 3, preferably 4 different options at different price tiers. So then they can choose. Basically, they're telling you what budget they have in that. People don't like to tell you their budget, but when you give them that option, they're basically telling you what their budget, and there's a match there between you.
Fantastic. We're getting some questions in. Can I ask everyone to put the questions in the Q&A rather than the chat, so that I can field them better? If you can just pop them back in there. So we've talked about, sort of charging, but at what point in your coaching career do you start charging? And does the pricing incrementally increase? And someone's asked here about, sort of, tell us more about money saboteurs. I think this is something to really dig into.
Oh yeah, look, money saboteurs, like we all have money saboteurs. I definitely had a money saboteur early on. I did a lot of work with my coach early on. So when I'm talking money saboteurs, the most common ones I see are like, oh, I can't charge that much. Oh, but I want to help people. I can't charge that much. That's too expensive. People won't be able to pay. Who are you to tell people what they'll be able to pay? Like, seriously. And there's a whole kind of collapsed belief I see within coaching communities that, but I'm just here to help people, and that you can't earn really good money for your time to support your family and help people at the same time. So you need to really separate that, and you really need to do some work on this, because we pick up those money saboteurs, as you all know, your coaches, you pick them up from your parents. So I had one parent who was super, super tight, and I had one parent who was like completely frivolous with money. So I had a very confused mindset around money and really had to do a lot of work. So please do that, and do that as early on as possible. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Now the other thing is, how do you find your clients? When do you start?
Yeah, well, look, early days. We're not early days though. Have we got a mixture? What did you say was the
We have
mixture?
we have everyone from sort of completing fundamentals right the way through to CPCC.
Great. Okay. So look, early doors, you are tapping into your network, which each and every one of you, whatever you might think right now, has a massive network. So friends of friends of friends, you're tapping into people you used to work with, whether that's current people as well that you work with. That's how you get your clients initially. But do not make the mistake of being a generalist and just going, oh, I'm offering free coaching because I'm training at the moment. No, value who you are, what you do. Really niche as early on as possible so you can do direct messaging to specific people with specific pain points. Get super specific, even in those early days, as much as you can. And then as you go along, you will get referrals as well. But then the other big thing that you really need to be looking at is building out a program for a certain person, an ideal client, creating a niche, and then directly messaging to them through things like social media. I do it through my books, I do it through the podcast, as you heard, but you don't have to do that. You start messaging directly on social media, and then you start offering people. The next phase up from that is you start doing webinars, free webinars to your target audience through partnerships, other organizations, and you get exposure to people who are your ideal clients so they get to know, like, and trust you. It's a really, really big step for someone to get in contact with you. We're talking private clients and also corporate clients. It's a really big step for someone to give you a massive budget. You know, you've got to really nurture those people, nurture those contacts, have lots of points of contact with them so they know what you're about, they know what you do, they know who you help, and they know the results that you get.
So this leads me on to a question we have from Mark, who's asking, paying for a result, isn't that a trap? The client might hold the coach responsible for not achieving the result.
No, yeah, I know it's a really common belief and a really great question. Thank you. No, so in terms of a result, that might be increased confidence and scale it from a 4, and in 4 months' time that will be at a 6. Or that might be you will have a clear vision of the career you want next and be taking active steps towards that. You know what you can get to in 4 months' time. You absolutely know it, and you want it to be a stretch goal. You don't want it to be too fantastical, but you do want it to be something that's possible within 4 months. And also, even if your clients don't get to those goals, I have never had someone ask for a refund because they didn't get to a goal. Because to get to that goal, what will happen is they've had all the learning to get there, or within that, the goal has shifted and changed, and that's super, super common. So I get you and I understand the worry, but that has never happened to me in 16 years.
Mm. Yeah, great verification there. I think we asked this question before, but Debbie wants it. I think we missed answering it, which was, at what point in your career did you start charging, and how does it change when you become a CPCC or any other accreditation?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I started charging after fulfillment. I took on my first client, my practice client in fulfillment, and I was charging equivalent of £50 an hour then. I didn't know about tiered pricing and packages and stuff. £50 an hour. So that was 16 years ago. And then what I did incrementally, I increased my fees, and it was really hairy for me. And I had the massive fee each time I did it. The only thing I would say is each time I did it, and then I took on my first client, I was okay again, because those saboteurs go crazy, right? You know, we've all got them. It's all really human. And it's as soon as you're stepping out of your comfort zone, that's going to happen. So I suggest you increase incrementally, but always in a stretch zone way, but do that incrementally. And I remember in my early days, so when I'd increased from 50 up to 100, and I always ask people, why did they contact me? And she said, because I was more expensive than the other people. So remember, it's that other thing that you need to think about, the other mindset of, if you're cheap, people will think you're crap. as well. So you've got to be really careful the other way. And that's the other way I don't hear much about amongst coaches. They're not worried about being too cheap. They're all about, £20 here, £20 there, cheap during training. Actually, don't be too cheap. Yeah.
So this brings us on to, there's lots of questions here. I'm just going to wrap them up and summarize as, can you give an example of the 3 tiers of price points? How do you distinguish them? So people who really want to get a little bit more granular on that.
Yeah. So go to my website, you'll see it. So go to SueBelton.com and you'll see it. If you like me, you like something tangible and you like to pick things apart. I'm a journalist at heart. Have a look there. But for example, what you might do is you might offer them 3 tiers. So you might say, so there are 3 different ways of working with me. One at 15,000, one at 7.5, and one at 3,008. Which one sounds like you? They'll go, oh, for either the 7.5 or the 3.8, can you tell me what's in them? So you tell them what's in them and then they make a choice. That's it. So it can be duration, it can be extra strategy days, it can be extra support like WhatsApp voice messaging support I offer some clients. Have a think before whatever's relevant to your client and start offering those things. And also do know I'm constantly tweaking what's in my pricing. I'm constantly tweaking my offerings. And depending on who I'm speaking to, so depending on the corporate client and depending on the issue and what's involved, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's group, team, or a mixture of a group, team, and one-on-ones, I've got in my mind and I've got my Excel spreadsheet and I can work out how much are each. And I might do that individually as well per client.
Fantastic. Okay.
But psychologically, it's really important that people have a choice and that you start with the highest number first.
That's a great point there. Okay, so let's talk about niche.
The other dirty word after money, Rebecca.
Finding your niche. How do you find your niche? And how do you then find the people within that niche that you're going to approach?
Yeah. So how you find your niche. I've got 3 niches. So I've got senior leaders and established founders who want to be more strategic. I've got midlife professionals who are at that midlife point, don't know what to do, is this all there is? And I've got coaches who are transitioning from corporate businesses into setting up their own practice. They're my 3 niches. They have developed from who I started working with, who I loved working with, who I really enjoyed working with, and I can get the best results because of who I am. So it's who you are, who they are, what you can help them achieve, but most importantly, who you love working with, and do they have the money to pay you? Don't forget that bit, because often I see that bit forgotten very early on, and that's the bit I often work with mentees on. It's like, if they don't have the money, you're barking up the wrong tree. Unless you're running a charity, and that's great for you, but if you're running a business, you need to think of that as well. So do they have the money? Is the issue you're wanting to help them resolve big enough for them to pay for?
Right, great. Okay. So talk to me about how you found your corporate clients, because they can be quite tricky to find. Obviously, you've got a wealth of people, a network out there, but how do you tap into it without being too salesy? Is that a bad thing to be salesy? And also, when you do get your corporate clients, is there any resistance to maybe embodiment and certain things that come with coaching? And, how does that fit with the sort of juxtaposition of the more corporate world?
Oh, yeah. Well, can I answer that last one first? Because that's my most favorite juicy question. I love that one. I do loads of embodiment. They absolutely love it. Do know they absolutely love it. And it gives them much more value than much more heady models out there, like the Grow model, the Coaching Academy, all of that. The coactive model is so much more impactful. Use it fully. The only thing I would say, but this goes for everyone, not just corporates. They're not aliens, they're not different, they just work in an organization, is you give a lot of context. So if I get my guys on chemistry calls, so these are like senior leaders, mainly men, Never done any coaching. I get them to stand up and I get them to do modeling on what's their favorite character, you know, whether it's James Bond or whatever it is, but I give a lot of context around that. So I go, look, I'm going to ask you to do something weird. Do you want me to tell you why first or not? Some go, no, I'll just go with it. A lot go, yes, please. I'll say, okay, I'm going to ask you to stand up, because when you do that, it opens up neural pathways in your brain, which help you think in more expanded ways that you don't normally. It also gets rid of all the fears and limiting beliefs and stuff. But that's an example. So give context, or offer up context as to why you're doing the weird stuff. And I do use that word. I say, look, I'm going to do some weird stuff with you. So do that, but they love it. Do not play small around that. Do not shrink around that. Own it, be it, because that is where, you know, that's where the magic is. And the coactive model is so different to so many others because of that. So please use it. And I do have them doing that in their offices with glass walls. Yes. Love it. Love it.
Someone's asked here, do you use the Wheel of Life in your corporate clients, or
Yes.
a different?
Yeah, I've done my own strategic leader wheel with my own segments. So I've created my own, and for my successful coach program for coaches, I've created my own wheel.
Yeah.
So it's a great tool, but and use that to start with. But then, depending on how you develop your own IP, your own programs, it's really good to create your own material as well. That's really more specific to them. So really specific segments for them.
Yeah. So how do you get these clients in the first place? The other one. And also, let's fold into that social media. You know, how involved do you need to be on social to really get seen?
Yeah. Okay. So the first one, how you get your clients, and they are a bit linked. But in the early days, I got them through private clients. I got them through people I used to work with. I went and did market research interviews with people, asked for referrals. You do need to ask. You know, they were my two main sources. So private clients and people I already knew. So people in my existing contacts who worked in various different industries. I did market research interviews, I got referred, I got work. The great thing about that is when you nurture those relationships, which is hugely important, it's a hugely important part of your work, then those people will then refer you and take you with them as well. So I actively ask for referrals from every single one of my clients. That's just a no-brainer. And my business referral rate, my clients, where they come from, is about 65% still to this day.
Amazing.
So it's really, really worth it. The other main avenue, as you say, is social media. So my guys are mainly on LinkedIn. So I know exactly who they are. I know exactly what their pain points are. I have a program that is for them, for their pain points. I know what the benefits are. And I've got a big list here of their pain points. So I'm never short of a social media post. So you're messaging specifically to them, always with a call to action, either join your newsletter or here's a little freebie. I've got a little checklist. For me, it's my books, but it doesn't have to be that. So you're building and building all the time. Yeah.
I had a couple of questions about something you mentioned, which is market research interviews. Can you give a little bit more context?
Yeah, it's really great. And I still do these to this day, but especially when you're starting out or when your business is not at the level you want and you've not had shed loads of clients yet for referrals. It's basically a market research is. So if you think you have an ideal client, or you do have an ideal client, so just for example, say they are designers, so they're graphic designers, just say that's your ideal client. So contact graphic design companies, say, look, I've got a business, I'm researching, these are the kind of people I want to work with, this is who I used to be, I really want to work with these guys. Can I come and have a conversation with you? Preferably someone you already know, and it would be if you're in that industry. Go and have a conversation, find out what the pain points are of those people. Then within that conversation, drop in insights and examples of how you could help those people. And then ask for the work at the end of that conversation. You know, or a referral. If that person isn't the purse holder, ask for a referral to the person that is. That's how you do it.
Fabulous. Well, so I think it's time to do a little mentoring session. How do we feel about that?
Cool. Yeah.
Let's do that. So Andrea, let's promote Andrea up onto the screen. She's your first client. And while we're waiting for Andrea,
Oh no, here she comes, here she comes.
lovely. Right, I'm gonna head off and you'll have 5 minutes. That's
Yeah,
lovely.
cool. Hi, Andrea.
Hello, I haven't done this before. This is cool. Okay, hi.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for being so brave and stepping up. So, in 5 minutes' time, what do you want to walk away with? And let me get a pen because I will need to be ready for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, you've given such great answers to so many things. I'm 4 years into my business, but I had about a year and a half break. I was really making really good headway as an executive and leadership coach, starting to work with organizations and stuff. I felt really solid and had a major health issue just completely sidelined. So now I'm entering back into like, oh, I can physically work full time and looking to rebuild my business. And holy moly, do I feel stuck and just lost. And there are the saboteurs around. I suppose I'll call them saboteurs. I understand that it's about relationships and about going out with folks I know and referrals and things like that. But when it still feels to me like cold calling, and I don't know how to get over that, finding folks that I worked with in corporate years ago and, not making it seem like, well, obviously I want something from you,
Got it.
That's a huge thing for me.
Got it. I hear you. And it's super, super common. So know that you're just normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is such a big common saboteur. Yeah. So bottom line, what would you like to have in 5 minutes around this? Just bottom line, what do you want to walk away with?
A plan with confidence to reach out to some folks before this week is out and not feel like a creepy salesperson.
Got it. Reach out. So if you don't want to feel like a cheesy salesperson, how would you like to be instead?
I would like to be in service and authentic.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that landed in me. Yeah. So tell me what reaching out in service and authentic would look like. Fantasy version. Just go.
Fantasy version would be connecting with people from my old corporate life in a really casual, hey, we're having a glass of wine, maybe coffee or something, and maybe gossiping a little bit, complaining a little bit, like having a real authentic, we were friends once, our friends conversation. And having the option for me supporting them or doing business with their organization not feel like a favor I'm asking for.
Yeah.
But something that kind of organically just comes up, like how can we not work together,
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
That's it, isn't there? Yeah, go on from here. What else? What else from here?
And and that I want people to see my name in their inbox or in their text and not be like, oh God, she's a coach now. What does she want? I want there to be this sort of excitement and this like buzz around the magic of Andrea sort of thing.
Yeah. What else? Stay with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want that word of mouth, that referrals, that buzz to be something that almost I can't even keep up with. That it's like something I don't want to fight for it. I don't want to hustle for it. I don't want to grip for it and muscle it, right? I just want it to be like just kind of easy and have a very natural flow. Not that I'm not willing to work, but I don't want to feel icky.
Yeah, you want to do it with easy and natural flow. So
Yeah.
from easy and natural flow, what else might you be doing?
What else might well, I might be natural and be relax. Might relax, which is a struggle at the moment. But yeah, but there's probably something around the energy that we carry into being and to conversations and all of that. And like, if I can just chill, if I can really chill,
Yeah.
how might that affect how I go about these conversations,
Got it.
pursue and setting up these conversations.
Who
Yeah.
do you know who is chilled like that, who's got that easy flow energy? And this could be a rock star, an actress, someone you know, doesn't matter, but someone who's got that vibe, that energy. This is from
Okay, two people come to mind. One is one of those people who just like assumes that everything is coming to her. It's just like, oh, of course of course, why not me? And things happen, things really happen. So I like the sort of boldness of that assumption of greatness. So there's that. And then the other person is yeah, just someone who's really probably a natural salesman, but who can schmooze and own a room and sparkle and shine with seemingly without any effort, and could show up anywhere in the world and have multiple people to have dinner with on any given night gladly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if you combine those two, what's the kind of, not the mindset, what's the tagline, what's the, you know what I'm saying, the saying?
Yeah.
Can't think of the proper word. What's their saying?
I think, of course, me.
Of course, me.
Mantra. Thank you. Mantra.
Got it. Mantra. That's it. There you go. Of course, me. So from of course, me, what will you do in the next 2 weeks from that place, of course? And what's going to help you, by the way? Yeah. So watch the saboteur come in. What's the structure? Is it clothes? Is it way of standing? Is it the saying? What anchors you to any new perspective or way of being? Because you get to choose, right? You can choose, and those saboteurs are going to come in. I'm not going to lie. You know they are. And when they do, how are you going to connect back to, of course, me?
I'm going to tap into my greatest, most powerful moments when I was fully engaged with, my leader within and with that energy. And sometimes it came with a really great outfit, and bright pink lipstick and all that. But it was really just like, in it, I believe. I was just really, really in touch with my inner leader and really believed I was the greatest thing standing at that moment. Yeah.
Got it. What's your leader within called?
Mama O. Christ.
So what would Mama O do in the next 2 weeks? What's her plan for the next 2 weeks? Mama O's plan for the next 2 weeks.
Mama O is going to get dressed fabulously to come to her office every day, even though some days we don't have plans, some days we're not on video. We're going to step into that.
And I kind of just went like that too.
Yeah. Someone pointed out this is a lot about so we're gonna look like that version of me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna play my power music while I send emails and texts and make connection efforts with folks. I'm gonna be assuming that role of full inner leader inside and out, as I set up these conversations.
Right.
Which of course is gonna happen. Of course.
And we can only ever guarantee the process goals. So the effort we put in, we can't guarantee the results. So what are your process goals for the next 2 weeks? Like how many people?
My process goal is to stop making lists of people and to actually do it. So it's Wednesday. I will reach out to half of my current list by Friday,
Yeah,
and I'll do the other half by next Wednesday.
great. Fabulous.
Yes.
How will I know?
Yes. Can I shoot you a note? I don't know.
You can. Yeah, if you want to. Sue@SueBelton.com. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Andrea, I want you to look at
Because
the
you'll
chat.
sense that energy in the universe.
I want you to look at the chat and see everyone championing you. Andrea, you've got this. Amazing.
That's very sweet. Thank you, everyone.
So, do you have what you need, the plan and confidence to reach out in service and authentically in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna make myself a note and really commit.
Cool. What was your takeaway?
That it's already there inside me.
Mm.
Just have to, like, authentically tap into it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much, Sue.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Right. I think that's resonated a lot with everyone. I think because we've all got our saboteurs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you the question, what do you wish you knew in the first 2 or 3 years of your business that you know now?
Yeah. It's linked with that, Rebecca. I wish I'd got hold. I had a massive saboteur that I was an imposter for going into corporate. For the first 4 years of my business, I only worked with private clients because there was no way I felt I was good enough to work in corporates. And even the night before I went for my first corporate meeting, which I won over some much older dude who'd been doing it for years because I used all of the coactive skills to, to show my interest of what was going on for that guy. But even that night before that, I had a massive panic attack and nearly bailed. So this is how much they can get a grip of you. So that's the bit I wish I'd known right at that phase. And the other big thing is just to start as early as possible. Is to really know that actually you've got to run a business and the purpose of a business is to make money.
Great. Okay. One of the things people are asking is like, how many clients would you take on a monthly basis?
Yeah. Again, this goes back to your vision. So it depends whether you're doing private, corporate, individual, group, team. So the fact that you're asking that question means you really need to do some number crunching or work with your coach or mentor to discover what's right for you. Because again, I only work 30 hours a week. I do a certain amount of one-on-one clients and I do groups and I do teams and I write books and I do lots of other things. I mean, I coach and do face-to-face work Wednesdays to Fridays. Mondays and Tuesdays are still my business development and all my other stuff days. In the early days, you need to be spending every day developing your business, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to bring on Sashir. We can promote them. And we'll do one more of those wonderful mentoring sessions. And just while we're promoting them to screen, Sue, what works for you to close the sale for coaching? Is there a specific thing that helps you? Jill's asking.
Yeah, and that's where the tiered pricing comes in. So if you offer somebody an option, so when you've done your fabulous, you dig into what their issues are, and this is corporate or private, you dig into what the pain points, the issues are. You then sense check where they are, how important that is to them. You then, I'm telling you the whole process, but briefly because it's all linked. You then go to what do they want to achieve, and then you take a pause and you sense check again as to whether both of you think you're a good fit to work with each other. And I say right at the beginning, I'm going to tell you honestly, if I don't think I can help you, I know if I can help you or not. I will know that, and if I can't, I'll tell you. And I want you to tell me the same. If you don't want to work with me, that's fine. I'm not going to take it personally. Then you offer them whether they want to talk about price or process. offer them the choice. It's super, super important in any sales conversation. And I do use that word. I make it a non-dirty word. It's not a dirty word. And then, handle any objections, ask what's going to make it the perfect thing for them. You've given them the choice of the budget. You've asked anything else they want, and then answer any questions they have. I think what's also key, both for private and for corporate sales conversations, chemistry sessions, whatever you want to call them, is that you have a follow-up call as well. So, in honor of that, you're creating a container and you're modeling that for your client early on. So don't just let it go out and go to the ether, which it can do. I mean, equally, you don't want non-committed clients. You don't want someone who's umming and ahhing, and, you do want people to want to work with you. But yes, they might have to go and consider, or I'm happy with people speaking to, another person as well. It doesn't bother me, So those are all the things. Does that answer your question, Rebecca?
It does. Right, let's bring on Sahil. Sorry, yeah, we we brought you on and then got
Sorry,
chat.
Sushir, yeah.
Oh, Sahil, sorry.
Hey there.
Hello.
Hey Sue, thanks for your time. Yeah, it's been awesome to hear all your wisdom over the last several years of coaching.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And now, where are you in your journey?
So I'm about 5 months into my coaching journey. I finished the core curriculum. And I've just done my first assistant as a fundamentals assistant. I've started a coaching community called the Coaches Huddle with a group of coaches that care about building this community, and built my website, got clients. I feel like all of that has been in the last 5 months, and I just hit a wall, completely just stopped, like hard stopped. It wasn't a gradual stop, it was a hard stop. And I don't know what's going on because I'm not getting that same type of energy to put back into the coaching anymore, even though I know that's what I want to do. But I feel like a lot of my time and energy is being spent on my corporate job, and it's just draining me from that. So when I'm done with that, I'm just tired afterwards.
Wow. Okay. Got it. I just want to ask you a question, fact-finding question. How many hours a week do you spend on your corporate job?
It's a 8 hours a day, so 40 hours a week. It's actually very manageable. I think the problem is that's not what I want to do. I know what I want to do, so
Got
the
it.
energy component of it is not there.
Got it. So what do you want to have in 5 minutes time around this, Sushir?
I would love advice over coaching. I want you to try to tell me what to do.
Advice, but to get to what? What is it you want to
Yeah.
walk away with? I can give you advice, give you mentoring, but what is it you want to have?
I want to be able to reignite, jumpstart back, because I already have my my coaching business started. I just haven't been putting into it as much.
Yeah.
And all the clients I've reached out to in the past, it's kind of just dissipated. I've sent over some proposals to some small businesses. It's kind of dissipated. So somewhere along the lines, it's getting lost, maybe in step 2 or 3 of a process of getting somewhere. And maybe I've reverted back to step 0. I'm not sure if I need to reflect on if coaching is even something I want to do, but I know I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the step 2 or 3? Okay, cool. So you want to be reignited, some kind of jumpstart, reignition in your business in 5 minutes time.
And to kind of use that inspiration, that fire, and point it towards something. I think right now it's kind of unfocused a little bit.
Yeah, got it. And what is your fire, your focus, your life purpose? What is your thing?
Yeah, so mine is about helping other people find purpose. So if I'm kind of struggling with that myself now, I feel like I've reverted a little bit too, and that could be part of the reason why I'm in this spot right now.
Yeah, okay. So stand up.
Yeah, sure.
Take me back to the ignition. Take me to the ignition.
The ignition.
Tell me what's the fire. Take me to the fire.
Yeah. So through a lot of self-exploration, my own journey, and through a lot of my own self-work and discovery, I've found that there are common threads with pretty much anyone who is living that, either they're stuck in something, they've lost their inspiration or purpose, or they need to explore a little bit deeper in whatever they're going through. So really helping people bring awareness to that and expanding their consciousness as well.
Yeah, yeah. And what is it you want to get people to?
Understanding, breakthroughs, just feeling more at home in their bodies, and just we're here for a short time and just want to make that a meaningful journey for them.
We're here for a short time.
Yeah.
If you were taking your own advice, what would you do?
I would start doing action. I think I spend a lot of time analyzing it in my head, as a lot of us do. And I've kind of reverted back to that being in a corporate job. That's where I spend most of my time to make money, to pay for courses and etc. But it doesn't do the being part of it as much.
Yeah, so are you walking your talk?
Am I walking my talk? Not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's not there's some type of misalignment, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, who are you being around all of this right now?
Who am I being right now? I'm being someone who, it feels like there's a balloon with a lot in it. It's just expanding and expanding. And it's not bursting it's not bursting, it just keeps expanding. So it's a lot of like potential energy and potential ideas. Like I've thought of business plans, I've done a lot of my research, I've put together proposals, all that, but something is not still clicking, and that's where the tough part is for me as well.
Got it. And I realized we ventured into coaching and you said you didn't want that. So tell me where you want to go next with this.
Yeah, I would love to know maybe some top 3 things you would recommend for someone in my at my stage in order to get more momentum.
Yeah. I'm going to say something you're probably not going to like. I'm conscious of that, but you wanted my advice.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna give you a bit of neuroscience around this. So you're working 8 hours a day. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Yeah. So you're young, but you're working 8 hours a day. We only have a certain amount of cognitive function a day. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised you're finding this difficult. I'm not surprised you've hit a wall and you're saying it's manageable. I question whether it's manageable for your brain and your body because I'm hearing otherwise.
Yeah, could be the cognitive function wise, and because time wise, I feel like there's plenty of time for that, because I don't have a family or anything at this point.
I get
So,
that, I hear that.
yeah.
So that's my top thing, is to really look at limiting the job that you hate doing as quickly as possible, because it not only drains your cognitive function, but it's draining everything else from you.
Yeah.
And it will do. That's what you're trying to help people get out of and get away from. And there's a reason, because that's where you are. That's my number 1. My number 2 is to know, and you can sit down. Sorry, we only stood up because we delved into coaching, and
That's okay.
I caught it. I was like, oh my God, I'm coaching you. You didn't want coaching. The second one is that getting clients is a grind.
Yeah.
And it takes consistent work, week in, week out. A few proposals, a few this, a few that. Get used to it. Get used to it. It's part of the deal. It is part of the deal. And there may be some bits where you're falling down on. You said you might be there might you suspect there's a point where you may not be doing it as well as you could be. There's something at step 2 or 3 that's going wrong for you. It's not working.
I'm getting sample sessions, but no commitments.
There's something there. There's some information there. You need to, who's your coach or mentor? Have you got a coach or mentor?
Not yet.
You need, as a coach, and this goes for everybody, you need to have a coach and or mentor, because you need to walk your talk. If you're not getting coaching and mentoring, how are you going to support others to do the same? The more you expand and grow, that you are your most valuable asset. The more you expand and grow, the more you can hold others to do the same too. Absolutely essential. You need to have a coach or mentor. You need to be walking your talk around that, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And you need to work with someone that looks at your business and looks at where you're falling down. And if you're failing at the, if you're not getting commitments at sample session, there's information there for sure.
Absolutely.
It is an art. Sample sessions, chemistry sessions are an art. And you've got to get good at sales, because you're selling something fabulous,
Absolutely.
but you are selling.
Okay.
So
Amazing.
I would look at that, and don't do proposals willy-nilly. They take a lot of time, a lot of
They
energy.
do. They do.
Don't do them willy-nilly. I do not do them unless I've gone a few steps and had a few conversations and we're at the end of the road.
I did spend a lot of upfront energy into this one, and it was just like a, hey, love the proposal, we'll get back to you, and then didn't.
Don't do it. Don't do it to
Okay.
yourself. It's horrific.
Okay.
I've been there. I've done it. I've done the same mistake. It's a very common mistake.
Appreciate it.
You want to have really good, effective conversations with people that convert. And if they're not converting, that's the point you start with a mentor to look at what's going wrong for you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. So to top 3, the job, where I'm spending most of my
That's draining you in many ways. You need to really seriously look at that.
okay.
Get a coach and or mentor, and look at your processes and your sample sessions. If that's where you're falling down, and stop doing those proposals for everybody. They're a killer.
Okay.
I'm not surprised with all of that stuff going on. I'd be hitting a wall too. It's a
I'm in the
lot.
middle of yeah, it is a lot, and I'm in the middle of a positive intelligence course right now too, so that's some more cognitive.
Yeah. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
But you've got the fire, you know what you want to do. Stay with it, because you've already done so much and achieved so much. So do remember that.
Thank you.
Do remember it. You're here, you're doing that. For me, they're the bits of advice that could really take you out of this stuckness.
Appreciate it. Yeah, there's definitely something to look at there. Because when I was in that flow state, I felt like I could achieve literally anything, and things were coming to me.
Yeah.
When I got out of that and the saboteurs came back, that's when that wall came pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a killer. It's a horrible place. I hear you. I hear you. And you're here talking to me about it on this call.
Yeah. Thank you. And hopefully other people also benefited from this.
So just do you have what you need for now around that?
Yeah, I like that. I feel like there's still something. I know we have short on time, but I think for now this was very helpful.
Yeah, cool. What's your biggest takeaway from all of that?
My biggest takeaway is not just the three tips, but it's really around where's my energy and attention being spent. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for stepping up.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Sashir. Lots of chat again, lots of championing you, and lots of people in the same situation. So you're not alone.
Yeah, and he's all over it. He's here talking about it. He's done so much. So it's really important. I'm being a bit hard hitting in that. He asked for the advice, so I gave it in advice form, and it's building on all of the other stuff that he's already doing. But that's a lot. It's a lot.
So what would you do instead of a proposal? What are the steps, and and how does it work in terms of your chemistry sessions and then going into conversion?
Yeah, I mean, proposals, it sounds like it's corporate work. I would be having the conversations, really digging into the pain points, really making a micro commitment after any conversation with that person. So a micro commitment is the next meeting or the next step, the next this, the next that. But I certainly would not be putting a proposal together unless I'd taken that person. That person has shown me commitment. That person has shown me they've got budget, they've got time, they've got that commitment, they're interested in working with me. Because it's all too easy for HR directors or leaders to go, yeah, send me a proposal. They're fobbing you off a lot of the time. There is that element. So you've got to be super careful with your own time and energy. And trust me, proposals take a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
test them out. Are they serious? Are they, yeah.
So we've got 5 minutes left, and I wanted to sort of pass it back to you, Sue. What is the thing, what are sort of the top things that you want everyone to sort of take away today?
Yeah, I think the main thing is to remember that the coactive model that you have trained in, if you're here, or you're training in, is a very deep, very rigorous model, and it's very powerful. It's a lot of value. So you've got that, you've got you as a human and all that you bring, all of your life experience, and that value can be lost amongst the saboteurs, which are going to go crazy anytime we're doing something new. And if you're venturing, you're changing from being an employee to becoming a coach, setting up a business, it's a massive, big step. So know that your saboteurs will be going crazy. So it's really, really important to remember all of who you are and all of the value you do bring, and that doesn't get lost. And the big common mistake I see on the back of that is people just do more and more and more trainings, rather than going, I am good enough, because it's about feeling not good enough. Been there, done it, super common. Rather than working on their saboteurs to feel good enough as they are, saving themselves thousands of pounds, I mean tens of thousands, and hours and time and energy, and actually using all of that to build their business and focus on building a sustainable business that's going to see them through to the rest of their life.
So there's a bit of talk about scope creep. I think at the beginning, especially, the energy is rising, and maybe transitioning between two careers.
It's a tough call, like Sushi, it's a tough call working a 40 to 6. I see people who are working 40 to 60 hours and building their business at the same time. It's a tough call on your body, your brain. I know Sushi said he doesn't have a family, but it's really important for well-being that you spend time with your friends, and you take time out. And I work with a lot of, especially women, who do have young families. So it's really, really important to take care of yourself and not underestimate what that takes from you.
This is I want to ask this question because this is from one of the attendees. Is it possible to be a successful coach at the age of 30 with very little life experience?
Oh, that's a lovely question. I would say, what do you think? What's your best thinking on that? Seriously, I've got my opinion, but what's your best thinking on that? And that is what's most important, because there'll be some saboteur stuff beneath that.
And that goes for anyone at any age and at any stage in life.
Yeah.
And I think what one of my big takeaways is that you're working in the corporate world, and you that's a world that wasn't your world. You stepped
Oh
into.
God, no, I worked in TV. I was a producer in TV, and I now work with engineers, guys in finance. I mean, seriously, not my world at all. It doesn't need to be your world, and it's probably better that it wasn't your world. It's about meeting this other human being and taking them to where they want to be. And you absolutely can do that. If you've trained, if you're coactive, that is what you can do. And that's what we're there to do, to take them somewhere that they really want to be, create those transformations.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
It's, someone's just written, is starting coaching at 56 too late? I think we all know the answer.
I think you know my answer to that. But again, it's not what I think that's important. I'm in my 50s as well. So welcome. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I was going to say sister, but that was an assumption.
Thank you, everyone. I can see lots of love for Sue in the chat. I think it's been a really valuable session, and just wanted to say a big thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Thanks.